Shy Intern transformed a deaf visitor's day with sign language. What she discovered changed everything. Olivia stood in the corner of the vibrant cultural center, a world alive with colors, laughter, and art. As a shy 22-year-old intern, she often felt like a ghost drifting among confident peers. The pressure from her hard-working parents weighed heavy on her shoulders, their dreams of stability colliding with her fervor for the arts, largely overlooked. On most days she blended into the background, a quiet observer of the joyful chaos around her. But that was about to change. One crisp autumn morning, Olivia's routine was shattered when Jonah, a charming deaf visitor, stepped into the center. He radiated warmth, his face lighting up as he attempted to communicate with staff. Eyes sparkling with curiosity, he sought connection in a world that often felt isolating. Olivia felt a magnetism pulling her towards him, a shred of courage ignited by his genuine spirit. She wanted to help, to bridge a gap she had never dared to face. But as she approached him, uncertainty washed over her like a tidal wave. She had never learned sign language, her heart raced with a tightness she knew too well. Yet Jonah's smile was infectious. He began to gesture, subtly encouraging her to join him in this silent dance of expression. Something broke inside Olivia. She hesitated, but then she reached out, clumsily mimicking a sign for hello. To her surprise, Jonah responded with enthusiasm, his face lighting up like the sun rising after a storm. Feelings of joy surged within her as they began to communicate in a way that transcended spoken words. Every laugh, every shared story erased the layers of her shyness. With each clumsy sign, she felt a growing confidence blooming inside her, a wildflower pushing through concrete. She practiced diligently, spending afternoons at home, fingers dancing as she learned Jonah's world. It was exhilarating, transforming their exchanges into a lifeline that nourished both of their souls. But not everyone was pleased with this newfound relationship. Whispers among other interns slithered through the center like a poison, filled with jealousy and misunderstanding. Their eyes flicked to Olivia, judgment clouding their gaze. What does she see in him? They murmured, as if Jonah's difference made him less deserving of friendship. Olivia felt their gazes like daggers, but something within her stirred a determination to prove that art should be inclusive, not confined by prejudice. The tipping point came when Jonah expressed a desire to join an upcoming art exhibition. His hope ignited Olivia's fervor for equality, but influential voices dismissed him. A wave of indignation crashed over her. It was time to confront her colleagues, to put her newfound voice to the test. "This isn't right," she declared, her voice trembling but resolute. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Standing her ground, memories of her parents' sacrifices surged through her mind. Would they be proud of her bravery? Staring down her colleagues, Olivia exposed the painful depths of social inequality they preferred to overlook. Silence hung in the air, thick with tension as her heart pounded. It was an emotional leap, one that carried the weight of her dreams. As the exhibition day approached, uncertainty hung heavy like autumn fog. Would her courage open doors for Jonah? And when she finally confronted the board about his rightful inclusion, would the consequences of her bravery bring the change she longed for? Or would it devastate everything she had built? The clash of dignity and acceptance loomed on the horizon, leaving Olivia and Jonah at a life-altering crossroads. A week passed after Olivia's bold confrontation, and each day felt like an eternity. Anyway, it was bittersweet. The excitement built up with the anticipation of the upcoming exhibition, but dread danced just behind it. The board's decision hung in the air, an invisible weight pressing down on her chest. Olivia spent those days reflecting on her newfound purpose, her mornings fueled by hope while her evenings were clouded with doubt. On the day of the exhibition, the cultural center buzzed with energy. Brightly lit murals adorned the walls, and vibrant sculptures dotted the rooms like sentinels of creativity. Olivia felt the thrill of art in her bones. Yet, all she could focus on was Jonah and how he hadn't been notified about his participation. It tore at her heart that a talent so rich could be overlooked, much like how she once felt invisible before stepping into this world. She looked through the crowded hall, hoping against hope to catch a glimpse of him. Just as the exhibition began, Olivia's stomach twisted. She spotted Jonah entering, his eyes wide as he absorbed the vibrant atmosphere. His smile lit up her world. Jonah approached her, waving with unabashed excitement, fingers already moving into the welcoming gesture of hello. Olivia grinned, feeling an overwhelming sense of joy. "Are you ready for this?" she signed, her hands moving with newfound confidence. But his expression faltered. A fleeting shadow crossed his face before he shook his head. Crushed her. He had heard about the board's decision before arriving. "They didn't want my art," he signed slowly, the hurt evident in his graceful movements. Olivia's heart dropped. A rush of emotion surged through her. "It's not right. Your work is incredible. You deserve to be here," she urged, words failing to convey the urgency she felt. She could feel the eyes of her colleagues watching, the very same ones who voiced their disapproval. But with Jonah, her strength surged once again. With a deep breath, Olivia took his hands, steadying herself. "We'll make them see. You have to share your story." As if he could feel her determination radiating like sunlight, Jonah's demeanor brightened. Just like that, he nodded, hope rekindled in his eyes. They began to move together, weaving through the gathering crowd, signing shared greetings and laughter. Jonah's presence lit up the room, drawing people's attention away from her silhouette. Olivia wholeheartedly believed in him, and decided right then that together they would create an experience that no one could deny. Just as they reached the center of the gallery, Olivia stood on an improvised platform created from stacked crates, urging Jonah to join her. The room quieted, curiosity shifting from her to Jonah. With a mix of trepidation and boldness, he climbed up next to her. "Every artist has a voice," she signed, heart racing as she spoke to the audience through Jonah. "And every soul deserves to be seen." Cheers erupted, echoing their ambition. Olivia felt liberated. Sheer determination rose within her, overcoming the remnants of self-doubt. Jonah shimmered with newfound empowerment, every motion gaining vigor as he began to explain the passion behind his work. But the applause and cheers soon turned into murmurs. Olivia turned nervously to see a few of her colleagues whispering, their expressions a mixture of admiration and skepticism. She felt the tension tighten in her stomach, a storm brewing behind their eyes. Just when Olivia thought the tide of support was flowing, one of the board members stepped forward, disdain etched into his features. "This isn't the time for political statements," he boomed. The atmosphere shifted, and Olivia stared in disbelief. A breathless moment fell upon the crowd, sparking a mixture of anticipation and fear within Olivia. Would they deny her and Jonah the recognition they rightly deserved? The echoes of uncertainty loomed large. Would she muster the courage to challenge the authorities standing against them? As the spotlight faded around her, Olivia faced a decision that might define her. Journey and Jonah's. Who will stand for what is right? She thought, knowing she had only moments to respond before everything could change. Olivia felt her heart racing, drowning out the murmurs around her. The board members' words hung in the air like a dark cloud, threatening to overshadow everything they built. She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the reality that this moment could shift the story for both her and Jonah. She needed to act. Locked in Jonah's gaze, she could see his vulnerability, a man almost crushed by the weight of rejection. Yet, she also recognized the flicker of hope that lingered there. He had a voice that deserved to be heard, and she wouldn't let it be silenced by fear or judgment. "Jonah," she signed urgently, glancing around to gauge the audience. "This is your time. Show them your heart. Your art speaks for you." With a gentle nod, Jonah readied himself, taking a deep breath that steadied the quiver of his hands. Olivia stepped off the crate, allowing him the space to step into the spotlight completely. She stood close, ready to support him, yet allowing him to shine alone. As Jonah began to sign, his fingers danced fluidly through the air, capturing the crowd's attention now more than ever. Olivia could see the audience leaning in, spellbound by the passion radiating from him. He began recounting the stories behind his pieces, weaving narratives of struggle, resilience, and joy, all manifesting within the art that spoke without words. Each stroke of paint celebrates beauty where others see nothing, he signed, his spirit igniting the room. My art is a part of me. It's a message of existence, a cry for recognition. The cadence of his movements was captivating, and Olivia felt herself being carried away by the emotion of the moment. Through his story, Olivia could feel a network of connection forming between him and the audience. They were no longer mere observers. They were entering the world Jonah had created, experiencing it firsthand. A hush enveloped them, as if the gallery itself was holding its breath. But the board member wasn't finished. He stood, arms crossed, his expression still just as dismissive. We're here to showcase talent, not to promote agendas. This isn't a forum for social issues, he interrupted, trying to reclaim control over the room's atmosphere. A chorus of gasps rippled through the audience. Olivia felt her resolve firming. This was not solely about Jonah. It was about breaking down barriers, about asserting the right to be heard and seen. Why can't we celebrate the art of communication in its many forms? She challenged, stepping forward, her voice steady as she turned to face him. Art is meant to inspire conversations. It's meant to challenge our perceptions. Jonah's perspective matters as much as any other. The crowd nodded, murmurs of support growing louder. Jonah's eyes met hers, radiating gratitude and growing courage. Just when it felt as though the tide was turning, Olivia sensed that the board's power was trembling but not broken. Art isn't just paint and canvas, she continued, the fire burning within her. It's living, breathing expressions of who we are. The moment we silence voices due to fear is the moment we kill creativity. A stirring ripple of murmurs spread through the room. Her heart swelled, and for the first time in days, she saw a flicker of hope reflected back at her. People were beginning to engage. But just as Olivia felt the tide might fully turn, a serious man from the back of the room piped up. While I agree, how do we ensure this doesn't become chaos? Olivia's stomach churned, anxiety threatening to surge back. Could this all collapse just as it began to rise? She cast a quick glance at Jonah, his eyes wide and sincere. She felt their dreams teetering on the edge. Together, she whispered, meeting his gaze. We stand together. With that, she signaled for Jonah to join her, the two of them bound by their shared purpose. She took a deep breath, ready to finally push for change, whatever that might mean. Could they rally enough support in this room full of skeptics? Would they hold their ground against the resistance at every turn? As they stood side by side, Olivia felt a surge of strength coursing through her veins, ready to take on the world. She just needed to know if Jonah felt it too. Are you with me? She signed as the room held its breath in collective anticipation. Jonah took a moment, his eyes darting around the room. The tension was palpable. His heart thumped louder as he processed Olivia's silent urging. He glanced back at the board member, who still wore a scowl, as if his very presence was set to intimidate. But then he felt it, the unshakable support emanating from Olivia. The connection shared amongst them all began to eclipse the negativity. Yes, I'm with you, Jonah signed back, a newfound determination igniting the air around them. He stepped closer to Olivia, their shoulders almost touching. This alliance felt solid. They were two souls fighting for a common cause. Two artists battling for a world where every voice mattered. Together we can make them listen, Olivia whispered, just loud enough for Jonah to hear. She could see the spark in his determined eyes grow into flames. Jonah began to weave his fingers again through the air, signaling words infused with the power of his emotions. Art is not only what you see, it's what you feel. It's what hasn't been allowed a voice. In silence we suffer. In art we soar. His movements were sharper now, filled with urgency and raw passion. The murmurs intensified, but Jonah pressed on. He immersed himself in the moment, his signs transforming into visuals, creating images of the pain and joy locked within the audience. People leaned in, captivated. Olivia couldn't remember when she had last witnessed such electric vulnerability in Jonah's performance. But then the serious man rose again. You speak of art and emotions, but what about accountability? Will this just become a chaotic outpouring without structure? His voice dripped with skepticism, and Olivia could feel the wall of resistance slowly building again. Jonah's confidence wavered for a moment, but Olivia stepped forward. Art has its structure, yet it thrives within the chaos of emotions. Jonah's work invites us to look beyond into the heart of creativity itself. Is that not something we should be embracing? She could see the crowd wrestling with the idea, interest sparking in their eyes. If nothing else, they were intrigued. They could feel the heart of the conversation pulsing through the room like a rhythm shaking it awake. Jonah glanced at Olivia, the bittersweet mix of fear and excitement melding within him. I want to share this, I want everyone to feel this. He signed hesitantly while stealing glances at the audience, his fingers trembling but persistent. Do it, Olivia whispered fiercely, pushing the words into his spirit, lifting him higher. He took a deep breath, inhaling the courage that she had poured into him. He began to share his experiences in his journey as an artist, pulling the audience into the moments that shaped him: the rejection, the heartache, the beauty found in silence, and the community that blossomed through connection. He signed not just for acceptance, but for understanding. Isn't he that what art truly does? Jonah continued. It brings us to our knees, makes us feel alive, raw. It should reflect our vulnerability, our truth. The energy shifted. The audience's skepticism began to melt away. They were no longer passive. They were absorbing the essence of what Jonah had to offer. Gasps of realization filled the air as they began to understand it was about respecting the diversity in communication, about lifting each other. But the board member was relentless, his voice rising above the hopeful murmurs. Enough with the emotion. We need tangible results, not just heartfelt pleas. In that moment, Olivia's heart sank. They had come so far, yet the challenge still loomed like a dark shadow. She could see the fear creeping back into Jonah's eyes. What now? Olivia whispered, unsure how to counterattack the persistent negativity. Jonah turned to her, fear bubbling just below the surface, but he held firm. If we don't take the risk to shake the foundation, then nothing changes. The room felt charged. Every eye focused on them as they stood on the precipice of change. Jonah's fingers began to weave another message, his body poised to stand against the daunting wall that threatened to emerge. Maybe it's time for something radical, he signed with conviction. But just then the gallery door swung open, and a new wave of people streamed in. What could they possibly want? And how would this shift the narrative they were trying to build? The crowd froze momentarily, their chatter cut off by the sound of the door slamming against the wall. A group of 5 students entered, their clothes vibrant and mismatched, a rainbow of enthusiasm against the backdrop of the State Art Gallery. They began to survey the framed artworks, their voices buzzing as they pointed and laughed. Jonah's heart raced at the sudden interruption. It wasn't how he'd imagined this moment unfolding. Anxiety washed over him, and just like that, the room felt more like a stage, countless eyes awaiting a performance he wasn't sure how to deliver. But Olivia, always the beacon, turned her focus to the newcomers, her eyes softly glowing. They're just kids, she said to Jonah, nudging him gently. Let us see what they bring to our conversation. Her words resonated within him, a reminder of their original mission to embrace every voice, every heart. Slowly, the board member shifted in his seat, perhaps sensing the mood changing again. Look at that, one of the girls exclaimed, her vibrant laughter ringing through the air. I love this painting. She pointed to a piece depicting an urban sunset, splashed with wild strokes of orange and purple. It was chaos and order wrapped into one. They're different, Jonah signed to Olivia, his eyebrows knitting together, worry lingering. What if they don't take this seriously? Why wouldn't they? She shot back, her words confident. Kids often feel things fiercely, more so than adults. Let them in. With a deep breath, Jonah opened himself up to the unpredictable energy in the room. The students were no longer distractions but potential allies, ready to amplify his message. Maybe it's not too late to invite them into our fight, Jonah signed, his fingers moving quickly now, enthusiasm bubbling in his chest. Just as Jonah began to catch the vision, the girl who had admired the painting reached over and boldly asked, "What's your art about?" She gestured towards Jonah and Olivia, an innocent curiosity in her eyes. "Yes," Olivia exclaimed, leaning slightly toward them. "Tell them what inspired you." In that moment, Jonah's spirit soared. He launched into the story of his passion for art, how it had been his escape, his lifeline, the way he connected with the world. He weaved in thoughts of community and the responsibility of artists to shine a light on the voices often overlooked. The group hung on his every sign, a mix of confusion and intrigue on their faces, but they didn't back away. Their shared laughter began to evolve into serious nods of understanding. Then the most surprising thing happened. The boy from the group stepped forward, his mouth slightly open as he formed silent shapes. Can someone teach me to sign?" he asked, his sincerity evident as he glanced between Jonah and Olivia. Jonah's heart raced again. This was an avenue he had not envisioned. He caught Olivia's eye, and they both grinned, the thrill of possibility blooming between them. "Of course, we'd love to share." Olivia signed back, her fingers dancing a vibrant tapestry of hope. The students gathered closer, a circle forming on the gallery floor. Shifted focus turned entirely towards Jonah and Olivia. Just as they were about to get started, the board member cut in sharply. "This is not a playground. We are trying to run a gallery here, not a sign language class." The heat of disappointment filled the air yet again, but Jonah stood tall. "Art is a playground for all emotions." He signed back with vigor, pleading with them to recognize the transformation happening right before their eyes. But how could they break through the rigid structure that was holding them back? The students seemed ready, but would the adults allow them to join the conversation? Jonah's heart began to race again. Time felt like it could slip away, and he wouldn't let that happen. "Now is our chance." He signed to Olivia, popping with hope. As a wave of anticipation washed over him, Jonah knew they were standing on the edge of something extraordinary. Yet with the board member's frown unwavering, doubts started to resurface. Could they truly harness the unexpected energy the students brought? As Olivia flashed him a thumbs up, the crowd held their breath, for what was brewing felt like the beginning of a deeper connection, or perhaps the heart of a daunting conflict waiting to unfold. Jonah felt a spark in the air. The tension was palpable, hanging like smoke in the gallery. Every heartbeat echoed loud as he prepared to break forth, a storm of emotions swirling within him. "Let us invite them, Olivia." He signed again, urgency coursing through his fingers. He could see the curiosity glistening in the students' eyes, a possibility blooming. They were hungry to connect, to understand. But the board member's scorn threatened to extinguish that flame. The older man crossed his arms defiantly. Jonah couldn't shake the feeling that, by shutting this moment down, they were snuffing out something crucial, something raw and beautiful. Art can be a bridge or a barrier, he thought. What will we choose today? With a deep breath, Jonah stepped forward, channeling every ounce of courage he had. Sometimes you just had to leap, even if the ground felt unsteady. Art is about connection. He signed with a fervor that danced in his chest. It's about sharing our worlds. This is our moment to learn and grow together. The students leaned in, their laughter dulled, senses sharpened. They responded with nods, revealing a flicker of excitement beneath their initially playful demeanor. Even the board member faltered, clearly wrestling with the unfolding scene, fighting to keep control while the air filled with potential. Olivia mirrored Jonah's enthusiasm. "We are artists too," she signed passionately, weaving her fingers as though sculpting a figure from the air. "And we want to show every voice a voice even as powerful as yours." The students shifted closer, their eyes wide and full of wonder, ready to absorb whatever Jonah and Olivia had to share. One by one, the questions began to flow. "What do those signs mean?" one of the girls asked, her finger tracing in the air to mimic the shapes Jonah created. "They mean," Jonah took another breath, settling into the flow. He was losing himself in the moment, but his heart was racing again. He signed, "They mean connection, a thread that binds us together, no matter the distance between our worlds." A young boy stepped forward, excited yet cautious. "Can we try? Can we sign together?" "Yes," Olivia beamed, her voice carrying such warmth it felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Let us learn together." Jonah felt his worries shift as laughter erupted from the students once more. They dove into lessons, clumsily mimicking signs, faces contorted in concentration yet glowing with joy. Jonah watched as the board member's expression softened, caught in the tide of positivity flooding the gallery. But then out of nowhere, shadows danced along the walls. Another group entered, their whispers loud and disapproving. Business people, slick suits glimmering under gallery lights, their disdain palpable. "What's going on here? This is inappropriate," one older man barked when he looked around, clearly affronted by the scene unfolding before him. Jonah's heart sank. Was this it? A flame lit only to be snuffed out? But then Olivia took his hand, squeezing tightly. We can't back down. This connection is too important. Her confidence wrapped around him like warmth on a chilly night. Art belongs to everyone. Jonah signed, a fight igniting in his chest. Let us show them. As he turned back toward the audience, he realized that with each sign, each laugh, they weren't just sharing a language. They were building a movement, a spirited bond breaching age and experience. Could they get through to the newcomers? Could they keep the magic alive? Jonah's heart raced not with fear but with possibility. What came next would determine if they could turn this uncertain moment into a revolution of understanding and art. Would the board member finally choose to embrace the truth of their mission? Would the newcomers embrace the spirit of connection, or allow fear to claim this moment? The air crackled with tension as they all awaited a decision that could change everything. Jonah felt the weight of expectation, the room holding its breath. He could sense the board member's hesitation, the newcomers' confusion, and the students' eagerness. The atmosphere was electric, an invitation to push past discomfort into something beautiful. Who are we to stifle joy? He signed, his heart drumming with fierce conviction. This is a celebration of connection. The older man in the suit shifted on his feet, plainly discomfort. The disapproving whispers of his colleagues fanned the flames of Jonah's determination. They were here to learn, to bridge gaps, and he wasn't going to let anyone dim that spark. As Jonah looked at Olivia, he saw the glow of hope reflected back. Their hands moved together, signing more rapidly now, igniting the atmosphere. The energy in the gallery transformed, drawing the attention of the business professionals. Jonah noticed them leaning in, curiosity battling judgment. Can you feel it? Olivia signed, her eyes bright with excitement. This connection is breaking barriers. A moment settled over the gallery, fragile yet vibrant. Jonah extended his hand to the newcomers, reaching out in more ways than one. Join us, he urged with his signs. Witness the joy of communication. Feel the power of understanding. Their reluctance began to falter, and one of the women in the group stepped forward. She hesitated, then signed slowly. Can teach us? Yes, Jonah exclaimed through his gestures, punctuating his words with a firm nod. We can teach you. The girl who had asked about the signs before watched and, emboldened, began to demonstrate what she had learned. Jonah saw the board member's eyes widening. There was an acknowledgement there, and for a brief moment the tension melted. Art can be a bridge, Jonah thought fervently. Art can change lives. Encouraged, other students followed suit. Laughter filled the air as clumsy hands wove awkward shapes, yet every mistake was met with cheers. Art was happening right there, outlined in eager smiles. Jonah caught the businessman's gaze flicking to Olivia, who was incorporating playful expressions into her signs. Should we join? One of the younger suits asked tentatively, his voice almost drowned by the laughter. Yes, Jonah signed back enthusiastically. Art is for everyone. The group hesitated, then slowly stepped forward, feeling the swell of the space. The barrier erected by their suits began to feel flimsy. Unraveling with each step, they took into this world of expression. Jonah's pulse quickened as they joined in, mirroring the signs with awkward but earnest determination. Jonah could hardly contain his joy. Every gesture served not just to teach but to connect. This wasn't merely about signs, it was about a shared humanity. He felt the room thrumming with possibility, something miraculous blooming. The older man scanned the faces surrounding him, seeing the spark ignite in their eyes. And just like that, Jonah felt the shift, a crack in the armor of tradition, a door opening where there had only been walls. Together, Olivia signed, uniting them all, students, artists, and newcomers. Yes, together. Jonah echoed, feeling lighter than air. A palpable warmth spread through him. This wasn't just an event. It was a transformation unfolding. As cheers erupted and laughter rippled through the crowd, Jonah sensed a pivotal moment. The board member stepped forward hesitantly, his expression shifting, a man confronted by the beauty of connection. What if we could make this a part of the gallery's mission? He asked, a question laced with uncertainty but also hope. This was the moment Jonah had yearned for. Yet it teetered on a knife edge between fear and possibility. They might choose change, Jonah thought, but he could only wait wide-eyed and breathless for their answer. Could the board member truly embrace this new vision? Would the spirit of art and connection transform the gallery's future? The answers hung in the air, ripe like fruit waiting to be picked. The silence stretched, thick with potential. Jonah could hardly breathe as he watched the board member's gaze flick from him to Olivia, then back to the group of eager students. It felt like everything, his hopes, the energy in the room, and the future of the gallery hung in the balance. The older man's hesitance made Jonah's heart race. What if he rejected this moment? What if they missed this chance to bring something beautiful into the world? The room felt electric, charged with anticipation, but Jonah clung to a fragile hope. Finally, the board member looked around. He caught the eye of a young man who was awkwardly signing with a huge grin on his face. That smile was infectious, spreading warmth, and an unintentional quietness fell over the crowd. Everyone leaned in, ready to embrace change. The board member cleared his throat, glancing down as if the words might take flight if he didn't hold them tight. I think we should. A ripple of astonishment danced through the gallery. Jonah's heart skipped. A young woman gasped, then clapped her hands together, setting off a wave of applause. The laughter that had filled the air danced back, lifting spirits higher. They were on the cusp of something incredible. Jonah beamed at Olivia, who winked at him, her smile reflecting his joy. With each clap, the air felt lighter, the fear dissipating as hope took center stage. To bridge gaps through art, the board member continued, a newfound confidence weaving its way into his voice. It's an ambitious goal, but I see how it can know how it must be integrated. Yes, Jonah signed, exuberant joy spilling from every corner of his heart. He felt the collective heartbeat of excitement circulating throughout the space, enveloping them all. That's the spirit. A voice shouted from the back, someone Jonah couldn't see through the crowd. Let us make it happen. Emotions swelled. The laughter grew louder, bouncing off the walls. Jonah could hardly contain his excitement. Yet there seemed to be another, deeper feeling surfacing, a sense of belonging he had been searching for all along. Jonah took a step closer to the board member, a sense of urgency tinged with wonder guiding him. We can start workshops, he signed, unable to hide his enthusiasm. Art classes that include everyone, where communication flows regardless of language barriers. The board member nodded, slightly overwhelmed but clearly mesmerized by Jonah's vision. You coach those who don't know how, he paused, glancing at the group who had ventured forward. To help them connect? To foster this environment right here? Yes, Jonah signed, raising his hands, drawing them together in a familiar gesture of unity. Together, we'll create something beautiful. A community where everyone can make art and feel valued. Inspired, students leaped into action, rushing to gather supplies, sketching out ideas and brainstorming titles for their new initiative. Jonah felt a rush of warmth, a kinship with everyone in the room. In that moment it dawned on him this was more than just a workshop. It was the birth of something extraordinary. The board member watched, his demeanor shifting from hesitant outsider to curious supporter. Jonah's heart surged. What might happen now? What might they create when they combine their talents, their differences, their love for art? But amid the celebration, an unexpected sound caught Jonah's attention, a muffled sob. He turned to see the newcomer, the woman who had signed that first hesitant question. Her eyes shone with emotion, hands trembling at her sides, and Jonah felt drawn to her. Are you all right? He signed gently, instinctively moving closer to her. She wiped her cheeks, nodding slowly, but she couldn't hide the tremor of realization on her face. What she didn't expect. Jonah's heart raced anew. What had this moment unlocked for her? What layers of connection were about to unfold within this beautiful chaos? And all around them the world was growing rich with possibility. Jonah stepped closer, his heart pounding a little harder. There was something about the woman's expression that both worried and intrigued him. As he signed, "What's wrong?" Her gaze dropped briefly before meeting his again, tears glistening in her eyes. I didn't think this could happen," she signed back, her movements shaky but filled with a raw intensity. "I thought I was alone." Her words hung in the air like a fragile thread, connecting them in a way Jonah had never felt before. He saw in her face the fear of isolation that he too had battled for so long. At that moment, the clamor of celebration faded into a distant whisper, leaving just the two of them standing in the eye of the storm. "I understand," Jonah signed, trying to convey the depth of his empathy. But you're not alone anymore. We're all together. We're building something. She nodded, her expression softening as she took a deep breath. It's just I've always had to fight to be heard, to be understood. And then I come here and it feels like a dream. Jonah's heart swelled at her words. He remembered his early days, feeling invisible in a world that seemed to thrive on loudness. This is just the beginning, he signed brightly, hoping to draw her into the exuberance of their new venture. We'll open doors for each other. Just imagine what we can create. A smile slowly broke free on her lips, a flicker of light igniting in her eyes. Jonah couldn't help but smile back, their shared hope weaving a tapestry of connection amid the chaos of eager voices around them. From the back, Olivia stepped forward, her enthusiasm radiating through the crowd. That's what art is all about. Breaking barriers and inviting everyone in. The atmosphere crackled with renewed energy as students began mingling. Brushes and canvases were being pulled from unexpected corners, laughter rising once again as fresh ideas sparked between friendships forming like magic. Jonah's thoughts drifted to the gallery's future, a vibrant scene filled with colors, sounds, and languages exchanging in harmony. There was a rhythm in the air, clear and inviting, and he felt it pulsing through him like a heartbeat. This was not just about art, it was about belonging. He cast a quick glance back at the woman, who now stood surrounded by others, her expression transformed. For her, the moment had shifted from a moment of sorrow to one of awakening. Just then, a familiar voice cut through the joyful chatter. Is this what we've been waiting for? It was the board member stepping forward, his eyes brightening with understanding. This is what community looks like. Together we're going to make an impact. Jonah beamed, heart swelling with purpose. Yes, we'll teach each other, grow together and build something special. As the applause broke out again, he felt hope blooming within him deeper and clearer than ever. The idea of the workshops wasn't merely a plan. It was a commitment to each other, to create space where every voice mattered, every story was worth telling. But just as the room was filled with laughter, another sob broke through, a different sound this time, more distant, tougher to ignore. Jonah turned to the edge of the crowd, where he noticed a young boy sitting alone, drawing furiously on a piece of paper. His expression was one of anguish, each stroke of the pencil sharp and deliberate. What's going on there? Jonah thought, unease knotting in his stomach. Why did it feel like there was still healing left to be done within this beautiful chaos? What had touched the boy's heart? With determination coursing through him, Jonah took a deep breath and stepped toward the boy, ready once more to embrace what this journey might reveal. What challenges or stories awaited him next? As Jonah approached the boy, he noticed that tear streaks marred the paper underneath his fervent sketches. The boy looked up, startled, his wide eyes filled with both anger and hurt. Jonah knelt beside him, trying to bridge the divide. Hey, can you show me what you're drawing? Jonah signed gently, his heart aching for the pain hidden behind that fierce concentration. The boy hesitated but then nodded slowly. Jonah peered down at the paper. It depicted a stormy sky, swirling dark clouds threatening to consume a small, lonely figure standing on the edge of a cliff. There was despair etched into every stroke, and Jonah could feel the weight of the boy's frustration radiating through the room. That's powerful, Jonah signed, his heart working to connect. Can you tell me what it means? The boy's shoulders slumped. I can't do anything right. No one gets it. Art doesn't mean anything if they can't see me. He signed back, the urgency in his movements laced with a heartbreaking vulnerability. I understand, Jonah signed back, a gentle fire igniting in his chest. But you're here. You're creating. Maybe it's not just about being seen. It's about expressing yourself. We all want to feel understood. The boy's expression softened, uncertainty hovering in his gaze. What if they laugh? What if they think I'm not good enough? Taking a breath, Jonah placed his hand over the boy's trembling fist. Art isn't perfect. It's real raw. The process is what connects us. Just like everyone here, he signed, glancing around at the gathering crowd, all participating in this moment, weaving their individual stories together. With a slight nod, the boy's defenses wavered. Jonah continued, what if you shared your work with all of us? We'd love to see what you feel. Trust me, this room needs your voice. Let us show them together. As fear melted away, the boy's eyes lit up with a small spark of courage, a flicker that had been hidden under doubt. You really think they'd listen? I know they would. Just look what we're all building here. Jonah's fingers danced in excitement. This room has come alive because we all decided to share. You need to be a part of this. Jonah's words resonated with an invisible melody. The boy's brows furrowed, uncertainty mingling with an ember of hope. Okay, he finally signed, quaking still with nerves. But what if it's not enough? Enough? Who defines that? Jonah smiled, connecting their hearts in unison. Your truth is enough. Let us create something beautiful here together. With newfound determination, the boy stood, shakily clutching the paper to his chest. Jonah felt the heaviness lift, like a long-buried stone rolling away with the promise of something new. Gathering the attention of the crowd, he raised his voice gently to capture the excitement. Everyone, this is our friend. He signed, pointing proudly at the boy. He has something special he wants to share. The shift in focus ignited nervous energy in the gallery. Jonah could feel those skeptical eyes softening, curiosity filtering in like sunlight through clouds. And the boy, now standing beside him, seemed to glow with a resolve Jonah wished to keep alive. Together, Jonah signed, heart racing as hands clapped around them, creating a cocoon of warmth and encouragement. The boy drew breath as confidence surged within, his voice trembling but resolute. I want to show you my drawing, he signed, raising it up with an unsteady hand. A chorus of supportive yes. Voices rose around him, filling his lonely storm with waves of belief and acceptance. As he presented his work, Jonah felt a wave of joy wash over him. The boy's stormy skies weren't just brushstrokes. They were alive with feelings that needed to be released. I feel alone, the boy enacted through his signs, but I want to feel connected. A hush fell, each person absorbing the weight of the boy's emotions, their faces reflecting nods of understanding. Jonah squeezed the boy's shoulder with pride, watching all bloom around them. The journey that had begun as two lost souls now painted a colorful tapestry of connection. Art isn't just a solitary experience, it's shared. Jonah signed fiercely, heartwarming energy surging through him. And you? You've just invited us into your world. Cheers erupted, applause loud and fervent as the boy blinked, stunned by the flood of acceptance that washed over him. Seeing the boy's face illuminate with possibilities, Jonah knew this was a turning point. They were more than just artists. They were a collective of hearts laid bare, daring to weave each of their stories into the tapestry of art. The board member was back at the forefront, and Jonah recognized curiosity blooming in his eyes as he witnessed the transformation unfold. This is what we've been waiting for, he exclaimed, urgency in his voice. A new vision for our gallery, one where every voice resonates, where every emotion finds its stage. Jonah's heart swelled with hope. Was change finally here? As the room erupted with energy, the spirit of collaboration spun through them, painting the air with the promise of acceptance. His gaze swept over the crowd, taking in everyone's smiles. Olivia grinned proudly. The students were bubbling with enthusiasm, and even the newcomers joined in, thrilled to share their nervous laughter and experience of connection. And in that vibrant moment, Jonah and the boy stood side by side, two voices among many, charting a bold path forward. Their individual stories and emotions now mingled with the heartbeat of the collective, beating louder, reminding them that art is indeed a bridge worth crossing. Now Jonah signed fervently, looking at each person in the room. Let us make magic together. And as they rallied around the boy, the room lit up with hope, bursting into a jubilant celebration of creation, a testament to community, connection, and the power of every unique voice coming together. It was a moment they would carry forward, a vision emerging that set the foundation for something truly extraordinary, a life-changing journey where art would forever remain an open invitation to everyone, everywhere. With this transformation redefining who they could be together, Jonah knew in his heart this wasn't just an exhibition. It was the birth of a movement, and they were only just getting started. So as the applause continued amidst the joyous chaos, Jonah couldn't help but smile, feeling a warmth spreading through him. Together, they had begun to craft a world where every voice mattered and every story needed to shine. The journey had come full circle, and as they basked in it together, one thing was clear: it had only just begun. Now I need to grab your attention. If you loved this story, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel. Don't miss out on the next exclusive story filled with inspiration and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. And comment your feelings and reactions about this ending because your voice matters too.